Chapter 911, Soul Body. Duanmu Qing slowly descended and spoke. After this evolution, Zhao Feng's God eye will become even stronger. He had personally witnessed the evolution of Zhao Feng's left eye before in the mystic True Sacred Clan and how strong it had become. Even Zhao Yufei, who had the help of the little world and the Purple Saint partial spirit, couldn't find back against him. However, the disturbance of energy that Zhao Feng had just released didn't seem to pass through the soul dimension. Instead, it passed through the physical dimension. It didn't contain any pattern or laws, which made Duanmu Qing confused. After the previous evolution, Zhao Feng's soul intent became much stronger. Who knows what'll happen this time? Duanmu Qing was full of smiles as he looked forward to it. Sacred Lord Duanmu, please come in. Bai Kuang Yue immediately went forward and didn't dare to be careless. This sacred lord was from the Duanmu family and was her master's master. At the critical moment, he even saved the Ocean Smoke Pavilion after Sacred Lord Sky Splitter and the other Sacred Lord were scared away. Although Old Monster Shu was also a Sacred Lord, he could only follow behind Duanmu Qing. Sacred Lord Duanmu, your disciple is still in seclusion, Bai Kuang Yue said with an apologetic smile. How long has he been sleeping for? Duanmu Qing asked. Almost a year and a half. Bai Kuang Yue replied honestly, and Duanmu Qing was surprised. He didn't think that Zhao Feng had been sleeping for so long. Last time, he only slept for a couple months. I'll wait here until Zhao Feng wakes up. Duanmu Qing stayed here, and all the members of the Ocean Smoke Pavilion felt as if the future was paved with gold. If they were related to one of the 8 big families, no other force around the oceans would be able to do anything to the Ocean Smoke Pavilion. Hot blood started to burn in these disciples. Sacred Lord Sky Splitter and Old Ghost were both extremely frustrated after they left, and they summoned a storm that turned the world dark. The power was enough to shatter heaven and earth. Old man, learn the full situation first before you plan to do anything. Old Ghost's gaze was icy as he left with a cold aura. He lived alone, but Sacred Lord Sky Splitter was in a force that had its own information agency and still ended up like this. Sacred Lord Sky Splitter was enraged when he returned to Earth Spirit Hall, which made everyone panic. Most of them didn't even know why Grand Elder was so angry. Emperor Lightspeed, give me all the information about Zhao Feng. Sacred Lord Sky Splitter roared, and a young emperor below trembled. Under the anger of the Sacred Lord, he felt as if lightning was about to explode around him at any moment and that half his foot had already stepped into the doors of death. Understood, Grand Elder. I will find out everything about Zhao Feng, Emperor Lightspeed said in a trembling voice. 3 months later, Sacred Lord Sky Splitter received the report, and his heart shook when he looked over it. After Zhang Xuandong from Earth Spirit Hall left the 10,000 Sacred Clan back then, an emperor from the Tai family arrived. Bloodline of the Tai family. Sacred Lord Sky Splitter's mind shook. The 8 big families again. The Tai family was one of the strongest families, it was comparable to a peak 3-star power. The 9 Darkness Demonic Lord from 9 Darkness Palace arrived at the Duke's Palace and took Zhao Feng away? Sacred Lord Sky Splitter's expression turned from surprise to shock. A Sacred Lord from 9 Darkness Palace arriving around here was extremely important news, but they only just received it? This information agency was a group of trash. That wasn't the main point though. There were signs of a battle between the 9 Darkness Demonic Lord and Zhao Feng, but Zhao Feng returned while the 9 Darkness Demonic Lord disappeared. The report turned into ashes. As time passed, Duanmu Qing would occasionally use his divine sense to look over Zhao Feng. He was currently living in the Ocean Smoke Pavilion not too far away from Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng's body would occasionally twitch while he was sleeping. His faint golden hair was like sacred light, it gave a calm and supreme feeling. In the dimension of Zhao Feng's left eye, he had regained some of his consciousness and witnessed what was happening. At the very beginning, a wisp of golden light appeared in the depths of the blue lake. Then, more and more faint golden light shot out. These wisps of golden light weren't intent, and Zhao Feng couldn't recognize what it was even after inspecting it for a long time. Part of the purple mist above the blue lake started to fade after this light shone onto it. Although the difference was very small, Zhao Feng could still feel it. The elements of wind and lightning in the mist were both decreasing. At the very beginning Zhao Feng was stunned. Did this mean that this evolution of his god's eye would decrease his soul intent? However, the wisp of faint golden light turned into 2 wisps, then into a beam. Although more and more of the purple mist was disappearing, He could feel that his soul intent wasn't becoming weaker. Where did the disappeared purple mist go? Zhao Feng could only wait. More and more faint golden light gathered above the lake and formed a complete beam that shone over the entire purple mist. The power of God Tribulation Lightning is disappearing. Zhao Feng couldn't help but exclaim. He could accept the purple mist disappearing. After all, it was created by the God's Eye in the first place. However, Zhao Feng couldn't stay calm after the power of God Tribulation Lightning disappeared. God Tribulation Lightning countered everything in the world to a certain degree, but even it was fading away. The God Tribulation Lightning had always been his killing move and had helped him many times in dangerous situations. Zhao Feng was even hoping to use it to face his own God Tribulation in the future. As time passed, both the purple mist and the God Tribulation Lightning were fading away. Wait, my soul intent hasn't become weaker. There's a weird sensation to it instead. Zhao Feng suddenly felt that something was off. His consciousness started to become clearer as the God's Eye evolved. At the very beginning, Zhao Feng could only inspect it, but now he could feel it clearly. -20% of the purple mist had disappeared, but instead of his soul intent becoming weaker, it had become slightly stronger. If it wasn't for the weird feeling in Zhao Feng's soul, he wouldn't have felt this. The golden light from the blue lake became brighter and brighter. He felt as if something was about to appear. On a certain day, the golden light surged, and Zhao Feng could see a figure below the lake. Duanmu had his divine sense locked onto Zhao Feng. At this moment in time, anyone that saw Zhao Feng wouldn't be able to take their eyes off him. His hair was a faint gold and radiated a golden light that even sacred lords would be surprised by. Even the mysterious little thieving cat wasn't able to stand it. As the light filled the air, the little thieving cat jumped into the misty spatial world. Looks like Zhao Feng's God's Eye is finally about to awaken its true power. Duanmu couldn't help but exclaim. If that wasn't the case, then Zhao Feng wouldn't have needed to sleep for so long. In the dimension of his left eye, Zhao Feng stared at a golden ball on the surface of the blue lake. It was perfect and smooth, and it was like the sun of his left eye's dimension. It radiated an ancient aura, but it gave Zhao Feng a familiar feeling. The golden ball radiated a faint golden light that seemed to pass through everything. This light shone into the mist, and the purple mist started to disappear several times faster than before, while a whirlpool formed in the lake where the golden ball was. Water flowed through the whirlpool and disappeared into the golden ball. A numbing and painful sensation suddenly washed through Zhao Feng's soul and made him groan. My soul. All of Zhao Feng's senses were gathered onto his soul, and he was completely stunned. He realized that his soul was starting to condense, and an occasional flash of lightning would appear. However, Zhao Feng could recognize that this wasn't normal lightning, it was actually the God Tribulation Lightning. Could it be that the disappeared purple mist and God Tribulation Lightning merged into my soul? Zhao Feng was unable to calm down. Although the purple soul sea was formed from the soul power of his blue lake, the power of God Tribulation Lightning had merged directly into his soul. Zhao Feng could only think of one word: incredible. He suddenly remembered something. Apart from bloodlines and bodies, there was something else that was just as rare as a top bloodline of the 10,000 ancient races. Because these soul bodies were extremely rare and unable to be properly researched, it was unknown what it truly was or whether it was good or not. Some even called it a sickness of the soul. Zhao Feng didn't know if this was natural or whether his soul was considered unique or not. Since he didn't understand, Zhao Feng didn't think too much about it. However, he knew that the purple soul sea and the God Tribulation Lightning hadn't disappeared, they had merged directly into his soul. However, Zhao Feng couldn't find any of his wind elemental power. It was hard to say how long went by until the purple soul sea disappeared and left only the blue lake and golden ball in the dimension of his left eye. The size of the lake decreased to 500 yards and was being absorbed by the golden ball. 400 yards. 300 yards. 100 yards. The blue lake completely disappeared and was absorbed by the golden ball, but the ball's size didn't change at all. Wang tilde. The mysterious golden ball released a layer of golden light that passed through everything, through this dimension and into the outside world. Zhao Feng understood that this evolution had almost ended, but he didn't know the secrets of this golden ball yet or what the God's Eye would bring him. Within a quiet palace somewhere in the Great Gon Lord dynasty, a girl in white was drawing with closed eyes. She suddenly sensed something and opened her eyes as blood dripped from her mouth. It was a pair of eyes that didn't have any pupils, but they seemed to be able to see through everything. Master is correct, It is indeed the ninth god's eye. The girl looked down at her drawing. It was a handsome male with golden hair and eyes that seemed to be able to see through any secrets in the world. In a quiet and calm sea of bamboo, an elder and an elegant girl were playing chess. The elder seemed to be thinking and didn't know what to do next. His eyes suddenly dimmed, and black lines appeared. It was as if it had fallen into the samsara of hell and sin. Disciple, let's end here today. The eyes of the elder returned to normal. Master, you'll never be my match in terms of chess. The girl gave a smile, and her beauty seemed to make the sea of bamboo shake. Chapter 912, Inspecting the Core. Duanmu Qing, who was in seclusion, opened his eyes. Just now, the mysterious wave passed through him, and the sensation was stronger than before. It was as if everything within his body was controlled by that mysterious power. Duanmu Qing scanned his divine sense to where Zhao Feng was in seclusion. The faint golden light that Zhao Feng was radiating was starting to fade, and that mysterious power had disappeared. Zhao Feng should awaken soon. Duanmu Qing was overjoyed, but he gave a deep sigh and had a complicated expression after remembering why he was here. Within the dimension of Zhao Feng's left eye, the remaining mysterious golden ball still gave off a faint golden light. This golden light didn't light up the dark dimension much, it just passed through to an unknown place. The golden light that radiated from the golden ball started to calm down, and the dimension became peaceful once more. Slowly but steadily, Zhao Feng could sense the outside world, and he started to move. Zhao Feng slowly got up, but he found that he couldn't open his left eye. So heavy. Zhao Feng tried his best to open his left eye. Wang tilde. The instant his left eye opened, an invisible wave spread wherever his gaze went. Zhao Feng was instantly dazed, and he froze. What was going on? Was this still the world he was from? Everything that he saw became half-transparent and filled with golden lines. Zhao Feng looked at a certain point on the wall ahead and started to enlarge it. Countless atoms were perfectly condensed together, and Zhao Feng inspected one of the atoms. This atom enlarged as well, and he could see billions of particles. Zhao Feng took in a deep breath. He could see the particles extremely clearly and how they made up this wall. S2. Zhao Feng was completely stunned, and he suddenly thought of a possibility. He immediately circulated his sacred lightning body and looked at his right hand. Hu tilde. His right hand turned into a faint golden palm that was surrounded by yuan qi and lightning. Zhao Feng focused on one of the lightning arcs and enlarged it. He saw countless smaller arcs of lightning join with one another and connect with the true yuan on his palm. His left eye then enlarged one of the small arcs of lightning. Magnify. Zhao Feng could see atoms stuck on top of one another to form the arc of lightning. A large amount of information entered his mind and was stored by the golden ball within the dimension of his left eye. Zhao Feng felt his left eye hurt, so he closed it. This ability seems to let me see how anything is constructed. Zhao Feng came to this stunning conclusion. His left eye could even see all of the atoms that made up an arc of lightning. He could magnify an item limitlessly and see through the core of anything. This meant that Zhao Feng would see billions of particles in a single drop of water. Zhao Feng took a deep breath and slowly calmed down. Maybe that wasn't its only use. Zhao Feng. Duanmu Qing arrived outside the chamber. Master. Zhao Feng had already sensed that Duanmu Qing was here, but he was focused on the evolution of his left eye. Congratulations on Master breaking through to the mystic light realm. Zhao Feng came out and bowed in congratulations. Breaking through to the mystic light realm dramatically increased Duanmu Qing's lifespan, and he seemed more energetic. This is all thanks to you helping in the ancient mysterious palace and risking yourself to obtain the 100 origin sacred honey. Zhao Yufei had told Duanmu Qing all the things that happened in the divine illusion dimension, including how Zhao Feng had recultivated. Duanmu Qing felt slightly regretful about that. If Zhao Feng hadn't restarted, who knew what kind of height he would have reached by now. I never would have thought that you would be able to kill the Emperor of Death. Duanmu Qing sighed in his heart. The Emperor of Death was even older than himself, and even though he had now broken through to the mystic light realm, he still wouldn't have wanted to offend him, but Zhao Feng had slain a legend of the Kang Ocean. Humph, he chased after me for 7 years. Since I had the chance, why would I let him live? When mentioning the Emperor of Death, Zhao Feng remembered how he had to run from that shadow of death for 7 years. Such a humiliation couldn't end easily. Duanmu Qing nodded his head. His disciple had surpassed him a long time ago. Duanmu Qing inspected Zhao Feng with praise. His holy golden hair, his golden eye that seemed to contain everything, and his handsome face gave off a superior atmosphere. When looking at the golden eye, Duanmu Qing felt his heart shake, as if all his secrets had been exposed. Zhao Feng, after this evolution of the god eye, your true strength has probably reached the level of an unrivaled emperor, right? Duanmu Qing asked curiously. He had never been able to see through this disciple of his, whether it was in the past or now. Zhao Feng's cultivation had now reached the late stages of the Void God realm, and his battle power was 3 levels higher than his cultivation. This estimation was enough to be ranked in the top 5 of the Imperial Genius rankings. At the moment, Zhao Feng was ranked 8th on the Imperial Genius rankings, but Duanmu Qing believed that Zhao Feng's rank should be even higher. The left eye only gave me a supportive ability this time. Zhao Feng revealed a faint smile and told Duanmu Qing the truth. However, even though it was just a supportive ability, it had definitely surpassed one's imagination, and Zhao Feng couldn't explain it properly. He also didn't know whether his left eye had any other new abilities since he hadn't tested it yet. Master, you probably didn't come all the way out here just to visit me, right? Zhao Feng could see something from Duanmu Qing's expression. There is indeed something. Duanmu Qing didn't know how to start. Is it related to me? Zhao Feng asked. It's related to Yu Fei. Duanmu Qing sighed. What's wrong with Yu Fei? Zhao Feng was puzzled. Zhao Yufei was in the Duanmu family, one of the 8 big families, so what kind of danger could there possibly be? When I was breaking through to the mystic light realm, the Grand Elder of the Duanmu family talked with the sacred emperor and engaged Zhao Yufei to the 13th prince, Duanmu Qing said in an angry tone. This was all because the Grand Elder cared too much about the family and placed importance on the short-term benefits. The 13th prince's mother was the empress, and the emperor agreed. This news had already spread among the Imperials. Engaged? Yufei? Zhao Feng forgot how to think. He had a very weird feeling. It was like a mixture of freedom and disappointment. Zhao Feng mostly knew whether he liked Zhao Yufei or not, but he had always been hiding from it. He wanted to follow his heart and find Lu Qinshan, and because of that promise, he had always been avoiding Zhao Yufei. He also didn't want to love another woman because this would make him feel as if he was betraying Lu Qinshan. However, he might have already liked another woman, and this would make him feel that he hurt Zhao Yufei. Zhao Feng's god eye couldn't analyze the situation. His left eye was at a loss. Duanmu Qing shook his head and sighed. He knew that Zhao Yufei liked Zhao Feng, and if it wasn't for Zhao Feng's fiancée, it was very likely that they would be together already. Duanmu Qing didn't know what to do either. From his point of view, one of the main reasons Zhao Yufei wasn't together with Zhao Feng was because she followed him back to his family. This was fate, full of uncertainty. Master, the 13th prince is extremely arrogant and childish. He doesn't suit Zhao Yufei. Zhao Feng suddenly raised his head and said. Yufei has been my friend since we were young. How can I let her marry that kind of person? Zhao Feng's voice was unusually calm and gave others the feeling that he was very clear-headed and awake right now as he discussed this issue in a very rational manner. Duanmu Qing paused, and his mouth felt slightly open. He had thought about what kind of reply Zhao Feng might give, but he didn't expect it to be something like that. Duanmu Qing couldn't help but think that only Zhao Feng would come up with such an answer. Ha ha ha, I think so as well. How is the 13th prince worthy of Zhao Yufei? Duanmu Qing laughed and patted Zhao Feng's shoulder. He knew that this disciple of his had an extremely low EQ. If you really care about Yufei, then come with me to the Duanmu family, Duanmu Qing said. Since this issue concerned the face of both the Duanmu family and the Imperials, it wasn't something that could be decided on a whim. Wait for me to make some preparations. Zhao Feng flew away. No one else was within 100 miles of Zhao Feng's cultivation chamber apart from Duanmu Qing since it was a forbidden area. However, after leaving that place, Zhao Feng realized that there were many people all around. The Ocean Smoke Pavilion had changed a lot, and it had a lot more experts. Was there a member of the Ocean Smoke Pavilion that had golden hair? I've never seen him before. Even his eye is gold. Is he not a human? But he's so handsome. A female member had dazed eyes. At this moment, Bai Kuang Yue flew over under a layer of moonlight. She could sense that Zhao Feng had exited seclusion through her dark heart seal. It's the Pavilion Master. Greetings, Pavilion Master. All the members nearby bowed, and Bai Kuang Yue was surprised when she arrived in front of Zhao Feng. If the purple-haired Zhao Feng gave her a wicked yet beautiful feeling, the current Zhao Feng gave her a warm and mature sensation. The difference in the before and after was just too big. Greetings, Grand Elder. The nearby members were all slightly dazed. Most of them hadn't seen the Grand Elder before, and a small number of disciples had only seen him once. However, no one didn't know about the Grand Elder. He had saved the Ocean Smoke Pavilion from the claws of 9 Darkness Palace and supplied countless resources for the Ocean Smoke Pavilion to make it stronger than ever. The Grand Elder's master was a sacred lord from one of the 8 big families, and apparently, this Grand Elder was only a youth in his teens. Let's go to the discussion hall, Zhao Feng faintly said as he continued forward with Bai Kuang Yue behind him. Chapter 913, Disintegration. In the discussion hall, Bai Kuang Yue, Emperor Withered Shadow, and Old Monster Shu all inspected Zhao Feng. Cough. I will be leaving the Ocean Smoke Pavilion for a long while. Zhao Feng gave a light cough. He couldn't stop his eye and hair color changing after the god evolved. Master, you're going to the inner regions of the continent? The 3 experts with a dark heart seal inside them all spoke at the same time. They could all guess that their master's master came all the way here for something pretty important. That's right, Zhao Feng replied. The Ocean Smoke Pavilion has Old Monster Shu holding down the fort, and Supreme Emperor Dark Knight will become a sacred lord soon as well. The Ocean Smoke Pavilion isn't scared of any force in the coastal region. In reality, the Ocean Smoke Pavilion was also protected by Duke Nanfeng, and since Duanmu was from one of the 8 big families, that would scare people off. Besides, 9 Darkness Palace was focused on Zhao Feng, so it wouldn't take action against the Ocean Smoke Pavilion. Master can leave with no worries. We'll take care of the Ocean Smoke Pavilion. Bai Kuang Yue was extremely confident. Seeing that Old Monster Shu wanted to say something, Zhao Feng spoke directly to him. Old Monster Shu, when 100 years are up, I will remove my control over you. At that point, you can decide whether you want to stay or leave. Thank you, Master. Old Monster Shu had complicated emotions. He wanted freedom from Zhao Feng's control, but at this point in time, it was better to follow Zhao Feng than stay in the 10,000 Sacred Clan. Duanmu had been waiting in the clouds for a while. Master, please go slowly. Zhao Feng flew over. Although Zhao Feng wasn't slower than sacred lords that didn't specialize in speed, that was only when he was using his lightning wings spatial flash. Zhao Feng's normal flying speed and endurance were nowhere close to a sacred lord's, and the Duanmu family was very far away. Even if they used teleportation arrays for most of the journey, it would take them half a year. If he tried using the lightning wings flying technique and the lightning wings spatial flash, he would probably spend more time resting than flying. Master, use this. Zhao Feng waved his left hand, and a unique flying chariot appeared. Duanmu revealed a surprised expression. It wasn't hard for him to tell that this chariot was from the Heaven's Legacy race. At the same time, he suddenly remembered that Zhao Feng was only at the late stages of the Void God realm and obviously couldn't catch up to a Mystic Light realm sacred lord. However, putting aside flying items that could reach the speed of a sacred lord, any flying item was extremely rare. Duanmu and Zhao Feng boarded the chariot. Whoosh! The flaming chariot shot through the sky and left behind a blaze of light. This is a good treasure. Its speed is close to the speed of an emperor. Duanmu praised as they headed toward the continent zone. The first stop was the Haley province, which was the closest to them. The Great Gunlord dynasty had 18 provinces, which were ruled by the 8 big families or imperial officials. Each province had many cities, and each of these cities were comparable to one of the 3 spiritual zones of the Kang Ocean. In other words, they were extremely big. Meow. Zhao Feng called out the unwilling little thieving cat. It knew that Zhao Feng wanted it to take control of the chariot and drive it for them. Zhao Feng had suddenly remembered that the little thieving cat had an unknown history. In the Heaven's Legacy City, the little thieving cat's information was a secret, they didn't have the right to know it. Zhao Feng instinctively touched the golden ball in his left eye and used its new ability. Wang! A faint golden disturbance came from Zhao Feng's left eye and merged into the air. Meow meow. The little thieving cat immediately disappeared, then reappeared above Zhao Feng's head and started to yowl. Zhao Feng was speechless. The little thieving cat didn't want Zhao Feng to use his golden eye to look at it. Looks like the little thieving cat is extremely scared of my left eye's ability. Zhao Feng was surprised and happy. This was the first time he had found something that could actually counter the little thieving cat, which made him place even greater importance on this golden ball. He needed to look deeper into it. Meow meow. The little thieving cat gave Zhao Feng an aggrieved glance as it took control of the flaming chariot. Duanmu Qing smiled as he watched the interaction between Zhao Feng and the little thieving cat. I need to test out the ability of my left eye. Zhao Feng entered the misty spatial world, looked at a flower, then touched the golden ball within the dimension of his left eye. Wang tilde. A faint golden disturbance radiated from his left eye, and the flower instantly turned into countless beams of golden light. Magnify. Magnify. Zhao Feng could see each atom extremely clearly. Each atom was like a complex building. The little world within the misty spatial world had its own laws, which were all man-made, but under the gaze of Zhao Feng's left eye, he could see that the number of particles within the flower were relatively fewer than a real flower and that the elements of these particles were utilized extremely poorly. Indeed, sacred lords and even demigods aren't able to completely replicate items of the real world. Zhao Feng instantly understood. The items within the little world were still different from the items in reality. It was like the difference between fresh flowers and decorative flowers made from plastic. If I form my own little world, would I be able to construct a more realistic little world or even a true dimension with my left eye? Zhao Feng felt his blood boil, and his left eye started to thump. Even Zhao Feng felt like this idea was too crazy. Creating a real dimension was something from the domain of gods. At the moment, he hadn't even formed the outline of a little world yet. Putting aside these unrealistic thoughts, Zhao Feng once again entered the world of particles. It seems to have some similar ideas as the divine light of destruction. Zhao Feng suddenly remembered the unique eye bloodline technique of the Golden Sun family from the Azure Flower continent, the divine light of destruction. The theory behind the divine light of destruction was to disperse all attacks, including other eye bloodline techniques. The divine light of destruction that Zhao Feng copied back then contained his comprehension of wind, and the theory behind it mainly involved cutting and splitting everything apart. From the looks of it, the divine light of destruction splits the atoms apart in order to decrease the power of an attack. Zhao Feng immediately analyzed with his golden left eye. Any attack that lost a part of its true yuan would become a lot weaker. If I merge the new ability of my left eye into the divine light of destruction, would I be able to disintegrate the atoms or even the subatomic particles of true yuan attacks? By disintegrating the atoms, the entire structure would be changed. Zhao Feng thought about it with excitement. Everything, including the soul, was made up of particles, and now that his left eye could see straight into the core of things, he could easily break through the link between these particles. If he succeeded in doing this, then this eye bloodline technique would be far stronger than the original divine light of destruction. Furthermore, only Zhao Feng would be able to use this skill. After coming up with this idea, Zhao Feng started to properly think about and construct it. He felt lucky that he had learned the divine light of destruction back then. Even now, the dimension of Zhao Feng's left eye contained information from back in those days. On a certain day, Zhao Feng's golden eye released a beam of faint golden light that shone onto a rock ahead. Crack. The rock instantly shattered and turned into a pile of smaller rocks. The disintegration aspect easily surpasses the divine light of destruction, but the strength of it isn't high enough. Zhao Feng shook his head with a sigh. He wanted to at least disperse the rock's atoms, otherwise, how would he be able to disintegrate an attack made of true yuan? A month later, Zhao Feng arrived in front of a bigger rock and took a deep breath. He circulated the power of his left eye, and a brighter golden beam shot into the rock. Hu tilde. The part of the rock that the light shone onto instantly disappeared and became empty, as if the rock was originally like that. There were no signs of the hole being man-made. Perhaps some people who had stronger senses would be able to feel the countless small elemental atoms in the air. I've formed the basics of it. Now, I just need to practice and improve it. A faint smile appeared on Zhao Feng's face. During his practice, Zhao Feng had disintegrated over 1,000 rocks in the misty spatial world. Zhao Feng could already map out how the particles formed these rocks without even using his left eye, but the construction of everything in the world, including true yuan and the soul, was different. This meant that the efficiency and success rate of disintegrating an unknown object would be lower. Zhao Feng. Duanmu Qing woke Zhao Feng up. We've come to another city teleportation array. Zhao Feng came out of the misty spatial world. The Great Gon Lord dynasty was extremely big and didn't have any province-level teleportation arrays yet, but apparently the Imperial Array Masters were trying to figure out how to make one. Only a couple of the most popular cities in every province had teleportation arrays. Teleportation arrays weren't something that any random person could use either. Zhao Feng looked into the distance. "Something's wrong," Zhao Feng said as he put away the flaming chariot and headed toward the palace with Duanmu Qing. "The teleportation array is encountering problems and is being fixed. No one is to enter." Two half-step king generals in golden robes looked at the incoming males, who had white and golden hair respectively, and stopped them. The master and disciple duo looked at one another and made the decision to rest here for a bit. "Please take your time." An elder flew out of the hall. "Sacred Lord Duanmu, the teleportation array will be able to be used soon. Come in and have a seat." The elder looked at Duanmu Qing with a respectful smile. More than half a year ago, Duanmu Qing had used the teleportation array here, and the elder had recorded this down. The two generals in golden robes were stunned, and cold sweat started to drip from their foreheads. How could they have known that this white-haired male was a sacred lord from one of the 8 big families? Since it was going to be repaired soon, they just needed to wait for a little bit. There were 2 other groups waiting in the hall as well. One of them had 6 people consisting of 3 elders, 2 young males, and 1 young girl. All of them had purple hair. A sacred lord from the Duanmu family? One of the elders with purple-white hair and eyes as deep as stars looked at Duanmu Qing, while the pretty girl with purple hair stared at Zhao Feng. "You're Zhao Feng?" Wariness flashed through the purple girl's eyes as she exclaimed. Chapter 914, Actual Combat. "You're Zhao Feng?" Wariness flashed through the purple-haired girl's eyes as she exclaimed. Everyone within the hall instantly looked toward Zhao Feng with curiosity. Zhao Feng was one of the biggest winners of the Divine Illusion Dimension as well as the leader of the purple-haired demonic duo. There were many secrets and mysteries that surrounded this youth, and many of the older generation felt like they were exaggerated. Everyone knew that Zhao Feng had purple hair, but this was a youth with golden hair and a golden eye. "Ji Lan, is he really Zhao Feng?" A short-haired male next to Ji Lan asked. Ji Lan had told the elders of the Ji family about Zhao Feng's eye bloodline, and because of this, everyone from the Ji family, including those of the older generation, wanted to witness Zhao Feng's eye bloodline. At this time, the Ji family stood at the peak of eye bloodlines in the continent zone if one excluded the descendants of the 8 great god eyes. "He's definitely Zhao Feng." Ji Lan was certain. Back in the Divine Illusion Dimension, Zhao Feng's god's spiritual eye had given her quite a counterattack, and she had seen how strong Zhao Feng's eye bloodline was. Zhao Feng's image was imprinted into her heart. She definitely wouldn't mistake him even if his hair and eye were a different color. It was thanks to Zhao Feng defeating her at her own forte that Ji Lan decided to focus on the secret techniques of the Ji family, and her purple star eye bloodline became even purer. "Don't think that you'll be able to escape your wicked reputation just by dyeing your hair," Ji Lan murmured, and the atmosphere was slightly awkward. The other force within the hall was the city lords, but they weren't even close to the rank of the 8 big families, so they didn't even dare to breathe out loud. Duanmu Qing greets Sacred Lord Star Demon from the Ji family. Duanmu Qing gave a faint smile as he bowed. He had heard of Zhao Feng's actions in the Divine Illusion Dimension and guessed that Zhao Feng had most likely taken some treasures from the Ji family. Sacred Lord Star Demon was an extremely old Grand Elder of the Ji family, and his eye bloodline had reached an incredible level. "I heard that someone from the Duanmu family became a Sacred Lord not long ago. That person should be you, right?" The voice of the purple and white-haired elder resounded through the air, and the forces of the city lord and the elder guarding the teleportation array felt this voice enter their souls and create illusions. Even Zhao Feng was extremely wary as he looked at Sacred Lord Star Demon. The latter's soul and mastery of eye bloodline techniques were definitely not simple. Wang tilde. When looking at Sacred Lord Star Demon's faint purple eyes, Zhao Feng felt as if he was in space surrounded by purple flaming stars everywhere. Zhao Feng's left eye glittered with gold, and he calmed down. "He's very strong. He didn't even use his eye bloodline and yet made me fall into an illusion with just a glance." Zhao Feng was stunned. This elder had the strongest eye bloodline power that he had encountered so far in his life, and the elder's cultivation had probably surpassed normal Sacred Lords. Sacred Lord Star Demon's expression changed slightly as he looked at Zhao Feng. Duanmu Qing explained in a humble tone, "I'm just lucky that disciples of the Duanmu family managed to find something for me in the divine illusion dimension to help me break through." Although they were both at the early stages of mystic light realm, Sacred Lord Star Demon had lived for at least 40,000 years, and his strength couldn't be measured just by his cultivation. "This is my disciple." Duanmu Qing gave Zhao Feng the identity of a disciple from one of the 8 big families, but he didn't confirm that he was Zhao Feng. The group from the Ji family paused and became suspicious of the golden-haired youth's identity. The purple-haired demonic duo apparently both came from the Kang Ocean, so they shouldn't be related to the Duanmu family. However, Ji Lan gave an understanding look. She remembered that the only force that the purple-haired demonic duo didn't steal from was the Duanmu family, and many people had their speculations about it at the time. Furthermore, Zhao Feng and Zhao Yufei had an unknown relationship. "These are my 3 disciples." Sacred Lord Star Demon revealed a faint smile and made his intention clear. "Sacred Lord Duanmu, your disciple's eye bloodline is definitely not simple. This junior is very curious and would like to spar with him." The short-haired male from the Ji family stood forward as purple starlight flashed through his eyes. "Master, let this disciple go test him." Zhao Feng stood up before Duanmu Qing could reply. Before this, Zhao Feng had been in the misty spatial world discovering the abilities of the golden eye, disintegrating countless rocks and plants. He wanted to test it in actual combat. Seeing Zhao Feng agree, the other 2 elders of the Ji family laughed coldly in their hearts. Ji Wuye's purple star eyes were unparalleled against those of the younger generation in the Ji family. No one could beat Ji Wuye in terms of eye bloodline techniques. "Hee, Big Brother Wuye has mutated purple star eyes," a younger cultivator next to Ji Lan laughed and said. In his heart, Ji Wuye was his role model. The purple star eyes specialized in soul and illusion attacks, and Ji Wuye's mutated purple star eyes could even incorporate physical attacks. It could easily catch one off guard. Ji Lan stared at Zhao Feng the entire time. This mysterious youth had a calm expression from the beginning. No one could tell what he was thinking, he was covered in mist. She couldn't see through his cultivation either, but she believed that Ji Wuye wouldn't be the one at an advantage against Zhao Feng. "This one is called Ji Wuye," the short-haired male said with pride. "Please give me advice," Zhao Feng replied as his faint golden hair moved. His left eye gave off a sacred golden light. Ji Wuye's expression became grim. The reason he gave his name was so that the opponent would call out his name as well. Ji Wuye believed that Zhao Feng not telling his name meant that he was ignoring and looking down on Ji Wuye. "Fine." Ji Wuye's eyes sparkled with purple starry light as soul-like aura spread. Falling stars. A surge of eye bloodline power shot out from Ji Wuye's eyes as blue and purple flames burned the sky. Boom. Boom. Countless blue and purple flames filled the soul dimension and crushed over. The momentum could make one's mind crumble, making it impossible to fight back. At the same time, a burning blue and purple chain wrapped around Zhao Feng's soul, and the barrage of blue and purple flames seemed like they were about to shatter his soul. Disintegrate. Zhao Feng's expression remained the same as his faint golden hair blew, and a strong surge of eye intent shot out from his left eye. What a strong eye intent! Ji Wuye's expression changed slightly as he took back his underestimation. This surge of eye intent wasn't any weaker than his own. Apart from Sacred Lord Star Demon, all the Ji family members' eye bloodlines shook. He's already grown to such a level? Ji Lan's expression changed in disbelief. Wang tilde. A beam of faint golden light shot out from his left eye straight into the blue and purple flames. A physical attack? Ji Wuye was slightly dazed. Everyone knew that physical attacks and soul attacks were unable to affect each other, and this guy used a physical attack to block a soul attack? Was this golden-haired youth retarded? Ji Wuye couldn't help but snicker. It seemed like this person couldn't be Zhao Feng. However, everyone felt that something was amiss. Zhao Feng displayed a surge of eye bloodline power, but it just passed through Ji Wuye's attack. Wait, what's that? The eyes of the younger cultivator from the Ji family bulged as he cried out. When the faint golden light passed through the flames, they started to slowly disappear. There was no clash between powers at all. Ji Wuye's soul attack and even his physical attack just disappeared. Everyone held their breaths as they looked at this weird scene. How is this possible? Even my soul intent and eye intent have completely disappeared? Fear and panic flashed through Ji Wuye's eyes. He couldn't believe that there was such a weird eye bloodline technique. Duanmu Qing didn't specialize in the soul, so he looked at this scene in confused amazement. Layers of purple light glittered in Sacred Lord Star Demon dim eyes as he looked toward the place where the two attacks came into contact. S2. A pain suddenly appeared in Zhao Feng's left eye. Jivu Ye's soul attack also contained a physical aspect, which was extremely hard to disperse. It required a lot of eye bloodline power, and this was only the first time Zhao Feng was using it in actual combat. As expected, it was extremely different from dispersing a soul attack. There was several thousand times more atoms within this attack than the flowers of the misty spatial world. A surge of information instantly stored itself within the golden ball in the dimension of his left eye. The pain became worse, and Zhao Feng had to stop his disintegration as he closed his left eye. That golden-haired youth has stopped using his eye bloodline technique. Only a portion of Jivu Ye's attack had disappeared, the remaining blue and purple flames were still hurtling toward Zhao Feng, but he suddenly closed his eyes and was just standing there. What is he trying to do? Ji Lan felt extremely complicated. This youth always made one unable to see what he was thinking. Boom. 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 The blue and purple flames instantly hit Zhao Feng's soul. Shoo shoo shoo. A wave of lightning suddenly glittered around Zhao Feng's purple soul. The entire soul attack and soul chain were destroyed by the God Tribulation lightning. Hu tilde. Everything within the hall returned to normal, and Zhao Feng and Jivu Ye were both motionless. Zhao Feng suddenly opened his golden left eye and looked at Jivu Ye. S2. Jivu Ye's body trembled, and he felt like his entire body and soul were under Zhao Feng's control. It was as if there was an eye in Jivu Ye's body looking at everything he had. I know that I'm not your match. Jivu Ye bowed and immediately retreated. Although he didn't know why his soul attack had just disappeared into thin air, the lightning that seeped out of Zhao Feng's soul instantly made him understand that he wasn't this youth's match. The soul and eye bloodline techniques of this golden-haired youth were incredible, and Ji Lan gave a helpless smile. Even now, she couldn't understand the techniques that Zhao Feng was using. Sacred Lord Duanmu, you have a good disciple. The light in Sacred Lord Star Demon's eyes faded as he gave a faint smile. Is little friend willing to visit the Ji family sometime? The Ji family has one of the top archives in regard to eye bloodline secret techniques in the Great Gon Lord dynasty. Sacred Lord Star Demon didn't hide his intention to recruit Zhao Feng. Among the 8 big families, the strength of the Ji family surpassed the Duanmu family. The elder guarding the teleportation array and the other forces of the city lord looked enviously toward Zhao Feng. Thank you, Sacred Lord Star Demon. This junior will go there when I have the time. Zhao Feng's expression returned to normal as he gave a smile. Is Sacred Lord Star Demon going to see the Great Gon Imperials? Duanmu Qing asked. Chapter 915, Interception. Sacred Lords didn't usually appear in the outside world, and this was the Grand Elder of one of the 8 big families. Furthermore, there were 3 young, talented disciples of the Ji family next to Sacred Lord Star Demon. I'm just taking these juniors to the Imperial Palace so that they can increase their knowledge. May I know why Sacred Lord Duanmu is here? Sacred Lord Star Demon's expression was the same as usual as he gave a general reply. The Duanmu family was based in the northeastern region and was only 1 province away from the imperial capital, but Duanmu Qing had appeared at the borders of the western region. He probably had an important issue for him to come here. I had some important matters I needed to attend to, so I had to leave the family. Duanmu Qing also gave a general reply, but it didn't make anyone unhappy. However, everyone from the Ji family instinctively looked at the golden-haired and golden-eyed youth. Zhao Feng was the left-eyed heavenly emperor of the Kang Ocean, and he had recultivated after taking over the body of a disciple from the 10,000 Sacred Clan. This place they were in right now wasn't too far away from the 10,000 Sacred Clan. In addition, Ji Lan was certain about this golden-haired youth's mysterious eye bloodline techniques, and everyone else was sure that a genius with an eye bloodline like his had never appeared in the Duanmu family. The identity of this youth was extremely similar to Zhao Feng, and Duanmu Qing had come all the way here to take Zhao Feng back to the Duanmu family. There was only one reason: the battle to become crown prince. Even the top eye bloodline family in the continent wasn't able to see through Zhao Feng's mysterious eye bloodline techniques in the divine illusion dimension or here. He could definitely help the Duanmu family get one more spot. Sacred Lord Duanmu, the teleportation array has been fixed. I'll be going first. The group from the Ji family said goodbye to Duanmu Qing. In reality, the city teleportation array had been fixed a while ago, but no one dared to interrupt a conversation between two sacred lords. Grand Elder, what was with Zhao Feng's eye bloodline technique just now? Ji Ye couldn't help but ask after they left. At the same time, the other two elders and juniors paid attention. From their point of view, only Sacred Lord Star Demon could tell them the answer. Sacred Lord Star Demon had reached an incredible mastery of the purple star eyes and was still creating more eye bloodline techniques that were suitable for the purple star eyes. He had contributed many new and powerful eye bloodline techniques for the Ji family. Therefore, while Sacred Lord Star Demon's cultivation wasn't very high, his eye bloodline techniques were terrifying. Disintegration. Sacred Lord Star Demon only said one word. Disintegration? The other 5 people were puzzled. Zhao Feng lightly said this word as well when he used his technique. Grand Elder, I know an eye bloodline technique as well that can decrease the power of another eye bloodline technique, but it's completely different from Zhao Feng's. Ji Ye didn't quite know what the word meant, but he had seen similar eye bloodline techniques. The eye bloodline technique of that junior is similar to dispersion eye bloodline techniques. Sacred Lord Star Demon thought for a while before slowly responding. Dispersion eye bloodline techniques find the critical point of an attack and destroy it in order to decrease its power. You can think of that junior's technique as dispersing all the critical points of the attack. Those from the Ji family were stunned by what the Grand Elder said. They knew that dispersion type eye bloodline techniques required an enormous amount of energy, and the damage was very low. Only certain eye bloodlines could use such a skill, let alone put it to great use. Grand Elder said that Zhao Feng had dispersed all the critical points. Destruction and dispersion were completely different. It was like destroying a wall. Destroying it was extremely easy, but if one wanted to break through the wall while still keeping the bricks intact, it would be extremely troublesome. How much soul power and eye bloodline power were needed for one to reach that level? No wonder Zhao Feng stopped halfway through. Those are just my conservative thoughts. Sacred Lord Star Demon seemed to think and spoke slowly. Everyone instantly went silent. They were all masters of eye bloodline techniques and knew that Grand Elder was speaking the truth. After watching those from the Ji family leave, Zhao Feng and Duanmu Qing also entered the teleportation array. The other remaining people let out a breath only after the 2 sacred lords left. Who is that golden-haired youth? He managed to defeat that genius of the Ji family with just one move, and it was an eye bloodline technique too. A youth from the city lord's force was stunned. After being teleported to a neighboring city, the master and disciple duo sat on the flaming chariot once more and shot into the sky. Zhao Feng, was that the new ability you gained with the evolution of your god eye? Duanmu Qing revealed a surprised look. Even he didn't know the theory behind Zhao Feng's eye bloodline technique. The left eye only increased my sight and dispersion ability. The eye bloodline technique I just used was created by combining that with another eye bloodline technique I know. Zhao Feng explained. He told Duanmu Qing the new ability of his god's eye and how it was formed. Looks like I was wrong. Duanmu Qing tried to see it from another angle. Zhao Feng's eye bloodline technique wasn't as terrifying as he originally thought. Zhao Feng could only make part of a soul attack disappear, and it required a lot of energy, which is why he had to stop halfway through. It also didn't seem to contain any offensive abilities. However, because no one knew the principles behind it, they found it mysterious and powerful. After all, humans were scared of the unknown. The two talked for a bit more before Zhao Feng entered the misty spatial world. The sparring just now made Zhao Feng understand a lot of things. Disintegrating Ji Ye's soul attack was completely different from disintegrating rocks and flowers. The latter's soul attack also contained physical damage. Zhao Feng's left eye received a large amount of unknown information, which made his eye hurt and caused him to stop. After Zhao Feng digested this information, he would be able to disintegrate Ji Ye's attack next time much more easily. Zhao Feng had suppressed his soul intent to Ji Ye's level in order to test his technique. Sacred Lord Star Demon had definitely seen this, but he was only interested in Zhao Feng's eye bloodline. Zhao Feng didn't mind showing it off. One could tell that the new ability was not normal since even the little thieving cat was scared of it. Every time I disintegrate something, I receive information about its structure, and this information is stored within the golden ball. I can check it any time I want and don't need to use my left eye to replicate it like in the past. Zhao Feng was very satisfied by this. Atoms and particles have some similarities. Particles contain elements. The more Zhao Feng disintegrated things, the more he understood. Zhao Feng guessed that, if he could fully understand this information, dispersing and disintegrating anything in the future would be a lot easier. Particles aren't just made up of the elements of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. There are different amounts of different elements, and the structures they form are different as well. Zhao Feng was completely immersed in this world, and he delved deeply into this topic. More than a dozen days passed, and Zhao Feng now knew the structure of particles. The physical body, the soul, and mystic light sacred power form the body of a sacred lord. Their defense and recovery ability are extremely strong, but if I could split those three powers apart. Zhao Feng started to think. If he could split the physical body, soul, and mystic light sacred power of a sacred lord apart, then their advantages would drop dramatically. Of course, this was just Zhao Feng's hypothesis. He couldn't confirm it without practice, and he didn't have the ability to disperse in a wide area yet. The bigger the range, the more pressure and energy required. However, one thing was for sure, Zhao Feng's dispersion ability could ignore the defense of sacred lords and split apart their sacred bodies. If these sacred lords didn't know anything about atoms, they wouldn't be able to heal themselves, they would have to rely on the basic recovery speed of their sacred bodies. This would mean another card for Zhao Feng that he could use to threaten sacred lords. The deeper I go, the more I feel like the golden eye is unusual. It seems like I can continue to dig even deeper. Zhao Feng was like a starving person who discovered a buffet as he delved into the world of particles. Right now, understanding everything was the most important. Half a year passed in a flash, and Zhao Feng focused on this one topic alone. Circulating the golden eye required too much soul intent and eye bloodline power, so Zhao Feng could focus only on it. Because of this, he didn't use the 10,000 divine thoughts technique to multitask. Besides, Zhao Feng's cultivation, golden kun sacred body, and 5 elemental wind lightning technique had broken through not long ago and needed time to consolidate. Zhao Feng, we're almost at the Duanmu family, Duanmu Qing's voice sounded, and Zhao Feng came out of the misty spatial world. He looked forward and saw countless beautiful elegant buildings and streams ahead. It was like a garden of the gods. The Duanmu family was surrounded by mountains, and the only exit was a stream that was dozens of yards wide. Elder Qing, who is this brat? 5 elders from the Duanmu family appeared at the entrance to the Duanmu family. They had been waiting here for a long time. This is my disciple, Duanmu Qing replied as he radiated the aura of a sacred lord. The terrifying aura caused the air nearby to become heavy. Duanmu Qing looked down from above, as if he was a king. The 5 elders were all just emperors but acted as if they were interrogating Duanmu Qing. This obviously meant that the Grand Elder was behind their backs. Elder Qing, please calm down. We're not here to trouble you. An elder in green robes was slightly weaker and immediately gave a wrong expression under Duanmu Qing's sacred lord aura. Elder Qing, Zhao Feng is one of the purple-haired demonic duo and is rather infamous. He's not suitable to join the Duanmu family. Zhao Feng offended too many forces in the divine illusion dimension. The Duanmu family has just started to recover our name, so we can't tarnish it. Several elders spoke and made Duanmu Qing's expression change slightly. After all, Duanmu Qing was from the Duanmu family and wanted the Duanmu family to rise once more. He knew what kind of person his disciple was, but stealing from others in the divine illusion dimension was understandable. Did the 3-star superforces not do the same thing to the 2-star powers? The strong ruled while the weak were eliminated. However, these experts had fallen at the hands of someone they thought was weak and felt as if they had lost face, so they tried to get their face back by trash-talking that person. Elders, that isn't the true reason, right? Duanmu Qing calmed down and said. The elders all stopped and lowered their heads. It indeed wasn't the true reason. A beam of green light suddenly shot out from the Duanmu family and lit up the place nearby toward Duanmu Qing. This is the true reason, a bright but old voice swept over.